This is the current stock market update for SoundHound AI, stock ticker SOUN. Before we begin with today's stock market analysis, if you find these educational materials to be helpful, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons. Leave your thoughts below in the comments section so that other traders can find this information more easily on the platform. We are looking at the 4-hour time frame in this price chart. Each candle represents a 4-hour trading period. And there are some interesting developments here that I think people should be paying attention, even if you don't have an active position in this stock. Specifically, what I'm referring to here would be the development of two fairly large bullish, I should say, harmonic patterns, which are developing right into a major region of support. So I think that in many cases, people might sort of click on these videos and quickly click off if they're not, if they don't have an active position in a name like SoundHound, or maybe not considering that. But these videos have other applications as well. And then, there are lessons about technical analysis. And there's going to be one here if we pay attention to what's actually occurring in the price action itself at these lower price levels. For the last couple of weeks, we have been looking at this major region of historical support, which is seen near $6.55. Now, as a general rule, you're not here to try to predict what's going on in the market. You're not a fortune teller. You're here to look at the market's signals and then make decisions based on those signals. And whenever you see a level of support, the expectation is that in most cases, you will see a bounce. You will see the stock start to move higher. And that's even more true when you're seeing the development of two large harmonic patterns that are also found right in the same area. Of course, those types of projections are not a certainty, and one warning signal that we've been watching with that movement into $6.55 support has been the clear development of negative momentum on these medium-term timeframes. The 4-hour time frame is not a short-term time frame. You could even refer to it really as a long-term time frame, in my opinion. But at the very least, it's a medium-term time frame, and there's no question here that negative momentum has been in place even before the stock was making those recent highs near $22 per share. Additionally, as we can see, in instances where SoundHound has attempted to generate some positive momentum, those instances have failed as well. As we can see here, there's a trend line where the stock was attempting to bounce from that 655 level, but the price movement here, the overall momentum, and what we're looking at the bottom of the price chart is the relative strength index. That's a momentum indicator. And clearly, the longer term trend is negative in nature. You could make the argument that the stock is now trading in oversold territory, as we can see here. But one mistake that people commonly make when they're looking at indicator readings is simply buying a stock anytime it moves into this region. So in this case, it's below the 30 level for the RSI. This is incorrect. This is not the proper way of doing this. What you're actually looking for in a situation like this would be to see a rollover out of oversold territory, because a stock or any asset can really remain in these lower regions for an extended period of time. You don't necessarily need to see a bounce here. What you're looking for is evidence of a bounce after you've moved into this region. So, for example, if we did start to see a movement like this, a rollover out of oversold territory, that's when you might have a better opportunity to buy a dip in something like SoundHound while it's trading near this $6.55 support zone. Overall, the price action on Friday was very important because, as we can see here, that 655 area is starting to break. It might be a little bit difficult to see. I can try to zoom in here a bit further, but clearly the stock is moving below this level. We did see ultimate price lows during the Friday trading session, the second half of the Friday trading session, below 650. I've got a low here of 648. And if we do see a drop below 6 and 613, that's actually when you start to invalidate these harmonic price patterns. These two boxes here are referred to as the potential reversal zone, the PRZ. That's what you have when you're looking for a harmonic pattern to become invalidated. If the stock does break below $6, you'll see both of these harmonic patterns simply disappear from the price chart. And that would be a bearish signal because it would suggest that these prior signals were not actually legitimate. We did actually see share prices move to the downside. So, this is something that we've been saying for a while. We don't really try to predict, the market. We look for signals. And in this case, we're seeing the signal because 655 is starting to break, and the prior bounce from roughly 705 or so really only resulted in a price movement to about $9.30. The bounce here was fairly small in relative terms. It wasn't too bad in percentage terms, but if you're looking at the overall trend here, we can just look at the size of the arrows themselves because that does give us a fair kind of representation of what is actually going on here. I mean, we've got this massive decline and then we do have a bounce, but it's a fairly small bounce and it's only into that 930 region. Overall, I do think that this suggests that the negative outlook here is most likely to continue. We don't really have any major support here for quite a while. I would say that you should stop watching people like Dylan with money because they're just sort of telling you what you want to hear to get more clicks. At this point, with the break below 655, you're probably looking at the very least a test of $5 per share. I think you could start to see some short covering in that area, which might mean that you do see a little bit of a bounce from that region. But overall, if we're just looking at major support levels over the longer term, the overall suggestion here does look as though we're most likely to see a movement below $5 per share. And this is why I have recommended staying away from this stock for most of its price action history. It's a very volatile name, and there are much better stocks to be trading in the members only Discord trading community.